one of the best things was finding some of these parks that I would never have gone to if I weren't working through a passport. One of my favorite hikes was the lake loop at Tobyhanna. I never would have gone to Tobyhanna State Park if I wasn't working through a passport. I know Cinnamon is one of the more popular ones for certain people in certain areas, but like fall and winter in that park is incredible. And even if you avoid the rut, you can still see elk. We saw tons of owls. There are all these little pockets of places that are as special as the big super special parks that are most popular that I urge people to spend some time at.
Imagine a place where stress fades, fresh air fills your lungs, and adventure awaits around every corner. Welcome to Think Outside, the podcast that inspires you to explore, connect, and embrace the outdoors. Hi, welcome to Think Outside with the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation. I'm your host, Marci Mowery, and with me today is Jess Myers. Jess is one of our Seen Them All Challenge award winners, I guess we would say. She's seen all of the state parks and state forest, and she's here at Cowans Gap with us today. We're filming just outside of the picnic area where we've been celebrating all these amazing accomplishments and all these amazing people. Yeah. So welcome, Jess.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you guys for having all of us. It's probably the first time I've been with a whole group of people where I can say any park and they know exactly what I'm talking about.
And yeah, that's part of what's been really exciting is hearing the conversations between people, and everybody seems to have captured their memories in different ways. So seeing the sharing of books and information and maps, and tell us a little bit about your journey in seeing all of the state parks and forests.
Yeah, so I had moved back to Pennsylvania from DC in 2017 and I adopted a dog, and I had missed hiking. I discovered she loved hiking. We were out at Cowans Gap with our family because that's not far from where I live. And that's when I first saw the parks passport and thought, well, this would be cool. Honestly, when I bought it, I wasn't sure we'd ever actually do it in her lifetime. But I had been working for the state at that time. I ended up getting a new job in 2022 that made it a little bit easier. And so pretty much all of my vacations from 2019 on until we finished in April of 2025 were to go visit parks. And we also did most of ours in the off season because she has some stranger danger, doesn't like crowds, and we don't like hot weather. So we are actively, yes, we're not built for hot weather. And so we also got to enjoy the opportunity of having parks in the off season, which I'd love to push here, is that like they're amazing in summer. I know lots of people go for all the summer things and swimming and all that, but we had so many parks almost entirely to ourselves, and also got to do snow sports in places totally free because we went in the off season. And I would urge people to get out there. Even
that's good advice. Yeah. And so often, I've heard managers say, people ask them, so what do you do after Labor Day? And, our parks are open year round. You may find that some of the restroom facilities aren't open because of maintaining them and protecting the pipes, but they are open year round. They tend to be less crowded. And I even had conversations with decision makers who are like, oh, well, people aren't hiking in November and December. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's pretty popular.
Yeah, no, those are absolute favorite times to go. It was also great because park staff were always there. So one of the issues, the only time we ran into issues were some of the parks that are smaller where park staff aren't there on weekends. But because we were going in the off season, I would take a week of vacation and we'd hit everything we could that was a 45 minutes to an hour driving distance. Park staff are there, but they also have time. So I could go in and talk to them and say, what are your favorite trails? What do you recommend in this type of weather? We're going to go to this park. And it's not that they don't take time otherwise, but when it's busy in the summer, it's much harder for them to be able to have a 15 or 20 minute conversation with you about the best spot for your dog to sneak in and go swimming, or be careful on this trail because I was out there this morning and it was icy, so go this way instead of that way. There's just not as much time to spend one-on-one. And so that was one of the other wonderful things. The park staff that we got to meet were all incredible everywhere we went.
Yeah, truly amazing. And that's been a common theme among the other people that have shared their experience. And I think that, you touch on another good point in that, stopping by the office to let them know that you're there is good, particularly, when the seasons have changed and the weather might be a little bit different, or if you're traveling solo.
Yep.
Letting them know that you're there. It just adds a level of safety, both, and gives you peace of mind too, as the person visiting.
I would definitely agree with that, because when I say we, it was my dog and myself doing the passport. So, and we did a few hikes with family friends or friends if they were in the area, but most of it was just my dog and I, which to me doesn't feel alone. But in reality, a lot of these parks, we were the only people in certain places. And so we'd always stop at the park office, but we also noticed that they're patrolling around. So stop and say hi, and they'll check in with you. They'll come back to check and make sure you're good. Because we would often run into a park employee, either ranger or other service employee, that we saw at the beginning of our hike, who came back by around the time we finished and was like, how was it? Just wanted to make sure you're good. So that was wonderful. I will also plug that we of course have lots and lots of the same favorite parks as everybody else. Ricketts Glen is amazing. Ohio High is amazing. But I will also push people to one of the best things was finding some of these parks that I would never have gone to if I weren't working through a passport. One of my favorite hikes was the lake loop at Tobyhanna. I never would have gone to Tobyhanna State Park if I wasn't working through a passport. I know Cinnamohoning is one of the more popular ones for certain people in certain areas, but fall and winter in that park is incredible. And even if you avoid the rut, you can still see elk. We saw tons of owls. There are all these little pockets of places that are as special as the big super special parks that are most popular, that I urge people to spend some time at.
Yes, that's very good advice. And oftentimes they're less crowded. So you go there and you can have a quality experience.
Yes.
You had mentioned earlier during the introductions, your dog had a favorite park.
Yes.
And what is the dog's favorite park?
She actually had two. So her two favorites were Laurel Hill and Elk, because she loved the swimming so much. And that was one of the other fun things. So my dog loves to swim. I didn't fully register how many parks in Pennsylvania have lakes, like man-made lakes, but still lakes nonetheless. And as long as we avoided beaches, we were generally pretty good with swimming. But again, most of the park offices, if I would talk to people, they had recommended hey, this is a really good spot for swimming for your dog. Obviously, it's not marked on the map, but this is a good spot. And I wouldn't known. And but both Elk and Laurel Hill, that was the thing, is that people in the park office were like, oh, and go to this spot on this trail right off here, and you'll see this. Go around, and there's a perfect spot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So, yeah, she loved it.
Yeah, and that's a nice gift you can do for her as well.
It is. And it's also was special for us because it's been a little bit of a journey with her. When I first got her, we were hiking and she was attacked by off-leash dogs.
Oh.
And so she struggled with dog relationships after that. She's also a little nervous around new people. And so being able to go off and go into the woods together, we're sort of both our best selves, especially when there aren't lots of people around. And it just, not only did I get to decompress and take care of my own mental health, but she just is pure joy anytime we get into a park. As soon as we pulled into a parking lot, even coming in the state park roads, it's almost like she knew, because she'd get up and go out the window and be like, oh my gosh, we're almost here. And I'd park and get everything to get her out of the car, and she'd be all frustrated because I'd have to stop at the office to grab our map and our stamp. And she'd be in the car barking and barking and barking. But she knew. She knew. And once we get going, she doesn't want to stop. And so it's just been awesome to be able to have that with her, because it's just been special in a way that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and watching I'm a dog owner as well,
yeah.
and watching your dog have that joy, it's joyous to you as well.
Yeah.
And helps with your stress reduction, because you're doing something good for them.
And she's just had this amazing, I would have these moments when we're out at some of these. Oh, she also loves an overlook, which is funny. Nobody ever believed me, and then people would come hike with us. And anytime there's an overlook or a thing she could look over, she'll jump up. And so I'm always like, girl loves an overlook. But I stop and think about it sometimes, and I'm just she's just this rescue mutt from Arkansas that had this amazing, and it just is special to have been able to do that with her together. And I continue to be stunned that it's all free.
Yeah, we're lucky.
We temporarily were living in Colorado from December until April of this year. And I know you were talking about this about Massachusetts. And there are some, obviously, lots of amazing parks in Colorado, not as expensive as what you were talking about from Massachusetts, but I would forget that that was a thing. And so whenever we pulled, I'm like, oh, right, have to pay. And my sister used to live in Maryland, and I would go down and visit her. And I remember the first time I went to visit her at a state park, and there was no parking area. There were no maps. The trails were not marked. And it could have just been this particular park that we went to. And I was just like, man, this is nothing. This is nothing like what we get at home. We are spoiled at home. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to DCNR. I'm so grateful for you all and the work that you do with DCNR and the passport, because I never would have thought of it on my own.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That makes me feel very good.
Yes.
You mentioned the being free, and we were talking earlier, about 6 state parks still offer free admission, free parking. And I find for myself, like if I'm on a long drive, I want to, particularly when I have my dog with me, Phoebe, I want to stop and stretch my legs. But, if there is a high fee, that's discouraging to stop for 15 minutes or a half an hour.
It totally is. So when we would do our park trips, we'd sort of pick a hub, stay, and go to parks around it. But we also planned to make sure we were driving past ones on the way out and the way back, so we could stop for leg stretch, because going from Harrisburg to Erie is a drive.
Yeah, it is. My legs get tired.
And so we want to make sure we build in some stops. But it was one of those things I noticed. So like when we went to Colorado, I brought her with me. I was fortunate enough that work was like, yes, you guys can drive out, drive back. And so I tried to plan it the same way we had planned our parks trips. And that was the difficulty we had, is that it was very hard to find places that would give us a good, leg stretch walk, but didn't cost $10, $15, $20 to park, or park and access the park. And I'm generally happy to pay for, park things,
right.
But it was sort of like we were trying to do these as sort of quick breaks on a road trip, not at gas stations, and it made it difficult.
Yes. It'd be nice if there was park over here, like you could have some unloading zone, like here's your 15-minute parking.
Yeah, that would,
so you can stretch your legs.
Yeah.
It's the restroom.
Yes, that would be so great.
Because then you're a better driver, is my theory. Like if you've got a chance to stretch your legs, shake your head.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing, and especially as I was talking about with her, like trying to get her out of the gas station where there's no it's a nightmare.
Oh, true.
Trying to get her out of the gas station and get her to focus, and there's cars and dogs and not grass, and anyway. So I agree with you. It's nice. We always build them into any trips we take, even when we're not taking park trips. Like if we're going on a trip anywhere, we will find whatever parks that are on the way for our stops along the way, because it's just easier.
Totally get it. Well, as we're wrapping up on our time, is there a final thing you'd like to share to help people who are starting their journey or midway in their journey?
So the only things I haven't said that I want to make sure I encourage people to do, and it ended up being some of my favorite things, in addition to the parks themselves, are some of the communities around these parks. I'm a sucker for a general store, country store, ice cream shop. I just encourage you to stop in, because not only will you get to try new things and talk to new people and all of that, but so many of the people that I met in those stops had recommendations of their favorite trails or their favorite, make sure you don't miss this thing. And I know that sounds really obvious, but like our first 2 trips that we took to hit parks, I didn't actually factor that in. I was just so focused on park hikes, because our rules were we have to hike in every park, and that's how we
That's your rule.
Yeah, that was our rule for ourselves. I know everyone I've talked to had different rules, but ours was hike everywhere you can. Now, some of them are tiny, so trying to create a hike was hard, but most of them was a non-issue. But I did not even think about find some additional places and businesses and things to support and check out while you're there. So I strongly encourage that, because it just really rounded out the other half of the trip, being able to talk to folks at some of these shops. We found this amazing stained glass artist out in the Laurel Highlands that I've now bought gifts for everyone in my family that only randomly found driving to one of the parks. So I would also encourage people to check that out. And I know we've talked about, don't forget about the off season, but I can't say it enough. So many, the parks are amazing every time, all times of year, but there are some real benefits to researching things about certain parks, because some of them actually, I don't want to say are built for winter, but are more Denton Hill has amazing cross country skiing and snowshoeing. And even though it hasn't been rebuilt yet. Like I took my snowshoes and we went snowshoeing, and the only people that were there were us and the bear hunters. And as long as we wore orange, it was fine. So I just encourage people as they're planning out their lists just to think about that too, because sometimes different parks have different personalities, and hitting them at their prime is kind of awesome.
Yeah, and I would add one thing to that, and that is check the DCNR website calendar of event, because they may be running a program. Oh, maybe you've been interested in cross-country skiing, and now all of a sudden, like there's a free loaner program or there's a class. So, checking that out as well, because you might be able to learn a new skill and be introduced to a new place through the eyes of the staff.
And that is the last thing I was going to say. So we accidentally ended up at certain parks during certain seasons. So like when we were doing the ones near actual central Pennsylvania, we stayed sort of near State College, but I did not know we were in part of a raptor migration period in the spring. And it was so amazing because there are so many overlooks and mountains that you're on top of in that particular area. And the amount of eagles and falcons and hawks, it was incredible. And so I learned from that to actually check the events calendar, but also check like just general geographic what's happening.
Yeah, good point.
Because I had a moment of like, why are there so many hawks and eagles? And then I realized, talking to a park ranger, and they're like, yeah, we're tracking them. And if you see them, I had no idea. So it's also cool because you can learn not just about the park, but about the larger world around you.
And there is a section at the beginning of the passport that talks about the value of you as a visitor stopping in community. And, not only does it enhance your experience, as you were saying, but it also supports that community.
Yes.
And oftentimes those community businesses are very supportive of the park and forest. So it's a nice reciprocal relationship. It's a win-win.
Yep.
Excellent.
So, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Jess. And thank you for bringing your parents here as well.
Yeah, they had a great time.
Awesome.
All right.
Great. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Think Outside, where every episode invites you to discover new places, build confidence, and find inspiration in nature. Love the show? Subscribe for more inspiration, share with a fellow explorer, and let's keep thinking outside together. For more resources and inspiration, visit thinkoutsidepodcast.org.